If we want to improve ourselves, there are two forms of development that we can engage in. Roughly 90% of all development efforts focus on a form of development called horizontal development. Horizontal development involves improving our knowledge, skills, and competencies. The focus of this development is to expand the things that we can do. It's a lot like adding a new tool into our tool belt. A new tool broadens our functionality. We can now do more than what we could do previously. This is a good form of development, but it has a significant limitation. If we add a new tool onto our tool belt, while that may broaden our functionality, it does not improve how effectively the person wearing the tool belt is. They may be able to perform specific jobs, but having new tools doesn't help them more effectively navigate stress, pressure, uncertainty, and complexity, and the anxiety these factors cause. The reality is that people can gain degrees and certificates that certifies them to do specific things. But having degrees and certificates doesn't mean that they are capable of handling the pressure, relationships, and expectations of their job. If we want to improve how we operate, we need a different form of development. A form of development called vertical development. Vertical development focuses on improving our internal operating system. Rather than helping us do more, it helps us be more. When we vertically develop, we elevate our mental maturity so that we can make meaning of our world in more cognitively and emotionally sophisticated ways. Vertical development is new to the leadership and personal development space. But research on vertical development has been around for over 50 years in the field of developmental psychology. The field of developmental psychology has been around since 1880. From the 1880s until the 1960s, the primary focus of developmental psychologists was on child development. What they learn is that as children develop, from infants to adults, they do so through predictable stages of development, and for the most part, they proceed through these stages automatically. Thus, for children, their development is largely a function of their age. In the 1960s, a select few developmental psychologists started to ask the questions: 1, do adults develop during adulthood? And 2, if they do they also develop through different stages? What they found is that yes, adults do develop, and there are different developmental stages during adulthood. But what they also found is that most adults actually never really develop during adulthood. Thus, as adults, one's development is not a function of age, but of effort. In fact, these researchers found that there are 3 primary stages of adult development with increasing sophistication. I call them Mind 1.0, Mind 2.0, and Mind 3.0. I use these labels because at each level, our mind, or our internal operating system, is programmed to fulfill different needs. When we operate in Mind 1.0, our internal programming is focused on keeping us safe, comfortable, and feeling like we belong. At this level, we operate like good soldiers. We don't want to take charge, but we are willing to do what is asked of us so that we ensure our safety, comfort, and belonging. Research has found that 64% of all adults and 7% of executives operate at this Mind 1.0 level. When we operate in Mind 2.0, we shift from being a good soldier to being a progress maker. We like to take charge and lead, and we are focused on accomplishing outcomes that will help us stand out, advance, and get ahead. Research has found that 35% of all adults and 85% of all executives operate at this Mind 2.0 level. Now, when we level up to Mind 3.0, we again change our internal programming. When we make this shift, we go from being a progress maker to being a value creator. At this level, we are no longer focused on standing in or standing out. Our focus is on contributing, adding value, and lifting others. This is a significant shift because when we operate in Mind 1.0 or Mind 2.0, our internal operating system is programmed to seek things for our benefit. It's only at this Mind 3.0 level that we become focused on something greater than ourselves. Only 1% of adults and only 8% of executives operate at this Mind 3.0 level. When we learn about vertical development and these mind levels, we are empowered to ask two powerful questions that few people ever ask. The first question is, what is my vertical altitude? This is powerful because it gives us a sense of where we are on our vertical development journey. But it isn't an easy question to answer because I believe that we can, at different times, operate at different mind levels. So a second question we can ask ourselves is, what is my center of gravity? At what level do I spend the majority of my time operating at? Remember, 64% of all adults operate primarily in Mind 1.0. 35% of adults operate primarily in Mind 2.0, and only 1% of adults operates primarily in Mind 3.0. The odds are that we have some elevating to do. And the good news is that we can elevate. We can upgrade our internal operating systems. And when we elevate, we become a more positive force for good in the world around us. If you want to learn more about how you can elevate, check out my new book, The Elevated Leader. Level up your leadership through vertical development.